Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I decided to do a story time video and I'm gonna tell you a story that's maybe a little bit more on the personal level. Some of my friends have been saying, why don't you tell some of the stories of what happened when you were younger, when you were single, when you were dating, you know, etc., etc. And I've always been like, I don't want to put, I don't want to put that out there for like all my family and all my friends to see and whatnot. But upon thinking about it, I thought like that was so, like these stories were so long ago. They were almost half of my lifetime ago. And you know, I'm a grown woman now and it really doesn't matter to me who knows what. So I thought, why not share some of them with you guys? Maybe it'll give you a giggle, maybe it won't. I have a lot. I've been told, one of my closest friends always tells me that I need to write a book.
And yes, by the way, I am bringing Scrunchy back up here, like that little hairdo.
So, okay, when I was younger, and I'm talking like late teens, I would go on the AIM and God, this shows my age, but you know that you've got mail, you know, and then go in the AIM messenger and go into the chat rooms, you know, and I would talk to people in the chat room. I think everyone around my age group probably did this. And one time there was more than one time that I decided to hang out with someone off the internet, but this story is just about this one person. So one time I decided, okay, I'm going to hang out with this guy that I don't know, because that's smart. And I look back now at some of the things I did when I was 17, 18, 19, and I'm like, damn, I had some balls. Like, I would not do that now. I was stupid. So anyway, so I found, I was talking to some guy and he, you know, the whole ASL and, you know, would describe yourself, what do you look like? And at this point, like, you could send pictures and you like had to scan them in or whatever. So I sent him a few photos, I don't know. And then he said he didn't have any photos and yada, 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 yada. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. Like, he described himself. I can't even remember. I could pick him out of a lineup now if I had to. Anyway, so we set up, he's like, can I take you out to dinner? And I said, well, yeah, you know, I'm like, that'll be nice. I told my mom I'm just hanging out with one of my friends and blah, 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 blah. And I took off. So I remember he had this really nice car. I don't remember what kind of car it was or anything like that. I just remember that it was this really nice car. So I jump, and it had tinted windows, I remember. So like I jump in the car with them, you know, smart, right? Like I don't even like check out who it is first or like open the door, just jump right in, then look to see who I'm with. And I just remember that he did not look like anything like his description he gave me online. You know, he kind of sweetened the pot online a little bit, if you will, compared to real life. But, you know, that's not necessarily a deal breaker with me because there's more to people than their looks, obviously. So, you know, he's like, where do you want to go to dinner? And me, you know, I'm very, very shy at this point. And I'm just like, well, you know, I don't know. It's up to you. And anywhere. He's like, oh, let's go to King's. And I'm like, okay, like, not that I'm too good for King's, because I mean, their cheesy hash browns are awesome, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think they had cheesy hash browns back then in the day. But no, I'm just saying, like, when I don't know, I was never on a date really, so I was just happy to be going on one, I guess. And like, but when you said King's, my heart kind of fell, because I was kind of like, I mean, maybe like Applebee's, you know, but no, so we went to King's, and just the conversation on the way to the restaurant and stuff, he just was not my type. He was not my type at all, in any way, shape, or form. He wasn't someone, he just wasn't someone that I even felt like a friendship type connection to. You know, our personalities just didn't mesh. And, so we get to King's, and when we sat down, like before the waitress came over, whatever, he's like, I, just want to tell you that I don't have any money.
What? What was that?
You don't have any money. And I just sat there like, cool. Like, okay, now before people think or get on me about like, oh, just because you were asked out on a date doesn't mean the male should pay, and beep, 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 beep. My personal thoughts are whoever does the date asking should pick up the tab, A, and B, I would have had no problem paying for him if this was not like the first time he asked me out and like things weren't incredibly awkward and incredibly weird. So it gets even better. It gets even better. So after he says he has no money, I'm like, okay. He goes in his wallet and he pulls out a coupon or a voucher or I don't know, some sort of something. And he's like, but I do have this for a free milkshake. And I'm like, aw. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I thought that was nice. Like, oh, he's going to give me like his coupon for his free milkshake. Like, that's so cute. Anyway, so when the waitress comes, we both order waters. So he gives her the milkshake coupon, and he's like, yeah, I'd like blah, blah, blah kind of milkshake. And I'm sitting there like,
hello?
like, you asked me out to dinner. You took me to King's. You did not have any money to buy any food. And then you had a coupon for a free milkshake, which you ordered for yourself and drank for yourself, never even offering me a sip of your straw, which I wouldn't have taken anyway, but still, like, yeah. So there I am sipping on my good old ice water with lemon, and there's this guy across from me drinking his free ass milkshake, and I'm like, okay. This is just awkward. Like I said, from the beginning, I didn't feel any type of connection romantically or otherwise to this kid. So, and to be fair, he was older than me too, so he wasn't even a kid. Like, he was an adult. Afterwards, he's like, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Blah, blah, blah. I was just like, oh, there's really not much to do around here. It's getting late. It's a school night, I better, get home. My parents will be mad. And, so he's like, oh, okay, well, promise we can hang out soon. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I don't mean to be a bitch, but, it's hard. I don't want to, like, be mean. I don't know. I don't want to be mean to people. And to this day, I have this problem where I can't just be like, knock it the F off, leave me alone. Like, I just have a very hard time being mean to people. So, anyway, he drove me home. The whole time the conversation was completely awkward. He was talking about his ex-girlfriend and, how pretty he thought I was and just like all this stuff. And then the conversation kind of took like into a weird turn. And he's just like, oh, when we were sitting there at dinner, all I could think about is how beautiful your hair is. I used to have really long, still blonde hair, but really long. And all I could think about was how beautiful your hair is and how I'd just love to rip it out of your head. Okay, cool. So at this point, I'm ready to tuck and roll out of the damn car because I'm like, okay, now he wants to rip the hair out of my head. Okay. We get back to my house and I'm like, okay, and gee, I couldn't piece out of there fast enough. You know what I mean? And he's like, wait, before you go, and he like grabs like this like gift bag-ish thing from the back seat. And he's like, before you go, I really like you and I think you're really cool and I really want you to have this. And I was like, no. I'm like, no, that's okay, And he's like, no, really. I'm like, well, he's like, I think you'll like it. And I'm like, well, what is it? He said, oh, it's my ex-girlfriend's. And I'm not going to say what it was, but I'll give you some big clues. It starts with a V and takes batteries. And it's something that you never, ever, ever want used. So I looked at him with utter disgust. I couldn't even control my expression. And he's like, oh, it's clean though. He's like, I bought it for her. And when we broke up, I made sure that she gave it back to me. I'm like, that's cool, thanks, no thanks, don't want that, gotta go, bye. Left, went in the house. Oh my God. I was like, seriously, he's going to wear my skin as an outfit at this point. So I can't remember if it was, I'm going to be completely honest here. This was so long ago. I can't remember if it was the same night or the next night. But I can't remember. Something tells me it was the same night. I'm not sure. It was either that night or the next night. He starts calling my phone and like blowing up my phone. And I ignored it. I ignored him. I didn't want anything. I didn't want anything to do with him. And I just ignored him, and he'd text me and stuff. And, you know, I was just, you know, ignoring him basically. And he was blowing up my phone. And somehow he ended up with my house number, which I honestly don't know if I had given him that prior to us going on our first date, or if he just knew my name. So he that's the day when we had these things called phone books, or if he just looked up my house number. But I don't know. Regardless, he had my house number. And I was like, we had caller ID. I'm like, do not answer, do not answer, do not answer, do not answer. So my parents are not answering it. I mean, my parents are pretty cool about things. He ended up calling my house phone 17 times. And finally, one of my parents picked up and was like, listen, you cannot call here. She is not here. She's not home. You cannot call here anymore. So he actually stopped and did not call anymore the rest of that days. The days went by. I don't even know how long, maybe a week or two went by. I didn't hear from him. Life was great. He was a distant memory. And then something weird happened. Because the rest of that was normal. But this is weird. No. Then something weird happened where I'm seeing a pattern here in my life. I went with my one of my good friends. This is the same friend that always tells me I need to write a book. I went with him actually to King's. I didn't even connect that all until right now. However, it wasn't the same King's that I went to with this guy. It was one that was far from my house. Like, let's say the other King's was 15, 20 minutes away. This King's was like 35, 40 minutes away. Okay. So I went to this King's with this other guy that was completely like platonic. We were friends, whatever. And I get a text from that guy for the first time since like the whole horrible date night thing happened and calling happened. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, you know, should I, going back to that stupid, naive, like, I don't want to be mean to him. You know, he hasn't bothered me in a long time. So maybe like he's over whatever weird phase he was going through. And I'm just like, he's like, hey, what's up? And I was just like, hi, period. And I shouldn't have said it. I'll say it right now. I shouldn't have said hi. But as you'll hear, it doesn't even matter anyway. So I'm just like, hi, hey. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, out to eat with a friend. He's like, oh. He's like, let me guess. King's at blah, 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 blah. Now, keep in mind, this was not the same King's that I went to with him. This was a completely different King's that was twice as far from my house. But he knew what King's I was at. Out of all the King's in the world, he knew that I was at King's and I was at this location, this certain location. And I looked at my friend and I was like, I want to get out of here now. And I told him what happened and he's like, let's go. So we left. We're walking out to the car. This dude pulls around the corner with his car and his window down. He's like, oh, hey. Like, oh, he just happened to run into me there. It was just like, he was just so nonchalant about it. Like, oh, hey, this is completely normal. And he has a friend sitting in the passenger seat with him. And I'm just like, yeah. And they're like, oh, do you guys want to hang out or whatever? And do you want to, I'm like, no, I have plans with my buddy, blah, blah, blah. Don't want anything to do with you. And he like literally is just like, I'm walking like to the car with my friend and like, he's just like cruising along next to me in his car, like at a very, very slow pace. And then like, I'm like, okay, well, great seeing ya. Bye. And go to get in the car. And he's like, wait a minute, Leah, come over here. So I'm like, The stupid niceness person in me was like, okay. So I walk over there and I'm standing a distance because I don't know if like a used V baiter is gonna be like thrown at me or what. It's like, come here. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting as close as I am right here. And he's like, so me and my friend were wondering if you would strip for us for $1. And that's when I said, you know what? No, F you, goodbye. What I should have said is, no, I won't strip for you for $1, but do you have any free milkshake coupons in there? Like, seriously? Yeah. So, that is the end of my story of my creepy internet date. So, yeah. All I'm gonna say is that don't be like me. And if you have to be like me and meet someone, make sure you do it in a public place or with a group of friends. Always be safe rather than sorry, especially in this world nowadays. So, to everyone out there, thank you for watching. And if that weird creepy guy is watching, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have said you wanted to rip my hair out, and you should have shared your milkshake, you big jerk. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.